All right. Our guest this week is Ryan Blaney. This is our first NASCAR guest ever. Ryan, thank you for that. How you been?
Yeah.
How's everything going?
Yeah, going good. Thank you guys for having me on. Fans of you guys, and cool that you invited me on the show. And honored to be the first NASCAR guy you've had on.
Well, I got to be like, for me, I got to be honest, and then Wes will jump in here, who's got me into NASCAR more. But I feel like the last couple of years, the sport got really, I don't want to say younger, but it felt like it got more exciting. And then there was like the gambling element that kind of came in. And like, for me, I was like, oh shit, I'll just start gambling. I see the odds. I just pick a few. I'm like, I was like, when are these guys going to hit? But then Wes started writing a lot more. And I feel like for me, a lot of the misconceptions of NASCAR kind of like went away. And then I know Wes had a lot of question on that, but do you feel like it got younger and more exciting and just a little bit different these last handful of years, the sport itself?
Yeah, I think so. I think NASCAR and the drivers have done a pretty good job of maybe reaching a different demographic, a younger demographic maybe, and just kind of how we've gone about things. And there's been, a handful of younger guys coming in and doing well that I think, a lot of the younger generation can associate with just because they're closer to their age. So I feel like that's helped out too. So I think it's a combination of things, but yeah, just, that's what it's all about, trying to reach fans who've never seen NASCAR before, young or old, trying to reach them, and maybe it catches their eye and they enjoy it. That's what a big part of kind of what we do is, right, is being entertaining to people watching and just trying to put on good races. I think that's what draws people in, is trying to make the racing as good as possible too.
I think for me, like, I probably started watching last year during the pandemic. NASCAR was kind of the first sport to like come back. And that kind of makes sense, and so I'm like, hey, I'll turn it on, see country folks like it. I grew up in a small town, never was really into it, but I turned it on and I'm like, holy shit, this is so fucking cool. Like, you guys are flying. And first of all, I thought NASCAR was like football where every track was the same. And then I'm like, no, there's different tracks. You got to tune the car depending on the track. And then within a few weeks, I'm like screaming at the TV. And so I think for me, and there's like, people fighting on pit road, get to hear you guys on the radio being like, what the fuck's he doing? And like, so I feel like there was so many misconceptions for me. And asking you as a driver, like, do you think that's something that you guys as a sport have to kind of contend with a little bit, where somebody that's never watched NASCAR before just has this picture of what it's like in their mind and couldn't be further from the truth, or a lot?
Yeah, I think you said it well, and I think you were a good example. Never watched it before, decided to turn it on and became a fan of it, just understanding it more, right? And kind of you just start learning what all goes into it. And we go to there's all these different size tracks, all different style tracks. You're tuning your cars every single week. It's always something different. There's a lot of kind of competitiveness and drama in the sport, and there's a lot more to it, and so now, since you're a fan of it and you watched it, there's going to be a whole different experience when you get to go to a race. That's way different. So even better, in a better way. So I've always told people, if you've never watched NASCAR, or you have a kind of just your bland and don't have a great opinion about it, I doubt you've ever been to one, or even just go to a race and you'll feel the excitement, and to see the cars, how fast we go, to hear the excitement in the stands and the engines, it's something completely different. So you got to get to a race next, and that's going to be a whole new experience for you.
Well, I looked at the 2021 schedule and they pulled the Chicagoland Speedway off. So I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's no good. Unfortunate.
One, obviously, when we post about you, people love it, and people are actually asking us questions on Twitter as well. But one part about your life that really excited us as well was your taste in music. We all align very similarly with the type of, I'm wearing a Whiskey Myers shirt right now. I don't know if you're a fan of those guys. Those guys are great. But on your Instagram, Colter Wall, Tyler Childers, your dog's name is Sturgill, which is awesome. Yeah. So, has that always been, have you been a country fan your whole life, or did you come into it more recently and kind of become a fan of like the real deal newer guys like those? Well, I know Cody Jinks too, you're a fan of. And...
Yeah. Cody big. So it's funny. I grew up, I still kind of am. I grew up kind of a metalhead, you know, and like Slipknot, Korn, you know, System of a Down. Like that's what I listened to as a kid, like through high school and things like that. And probably, man, when I graduated high school, I started to kind of get more into country. I don't know if I was you know, kind of an anxious high school kid and needed to listen to that kind of music. But then, you know, and then I started getting, you know, into more country and kind of, you know, older country, you know, Merle, Waylon, you know, Willie, all them people. And then, you know, I found, you know, Tyler and Sturgill, you know, Cody, Whiskey Myers. So Colter Wall, especially too. So it's just been neat. I kind of like the, you know, different country music, not so much radio stuff. You know, I'm good friends with, you know, some guys. I'm great friends with Cole Swindell. It's just a different style of music. I'm not saying I don't like it. It's just, it's a different style. But yeah, just finding those guys, kind of more underground guys too, is something I enjoy kind of searching for. And they all have a certain unique thing to say, and you got to appreciate that.
100%.
Absolutely. How do you go about meeting those guys? Because I see you like on the bus, and then anytime we're side stage at a show, it's like there's always athletes back there. Like, is there like a middleman who just starts pairing you guys up? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, you know, when I've been really fortunate to meet, you know, a lot of these guys. And social media is an awesome thing sometimes.
Just slide into the DMs.
Yeah, you know, why not? And or you follow each other and you're like, oh, you must be a fan. I'm a fan of you too. Well, let's get you to a show or get you out to a race sometime. You know, that's kind of how it usually goes. But no, just cool. You know, that's a unique part of our job too, is, you know, you get to meet some really cool people along the way, and been really fortunate to meet some great folks in anything, and different athletes or artists and things like that. It's been pretty good so far.
There's quite a few not necessarily racing specific, but if you look at country music, there's a lot of driving related songs. I mean, like Eric Church in 2014. I don't know if you're a fan of Church, but Talladega, obviously. And Riley Green more recently with Numbers on the Cars, which is an Alzheimer's thing. My personal favorite, which is not a racing, but Alan Jackson, Drive, which to me might be one of his best songs ever, performed the other night. Is that cool for you when you hear like country songs kind of give a nod to kind of your career? It's kind of like the other way around. Like you guys, like you're listening to the music, and the next thing you know, some of the guys you like are singing about what you do. Yeah,
that's you know, I'll tell you, Riley's song Numbers on the Cars, that hit home with me. You know, my grandfather had Alzheimer's and passed away from it about a decade ago, and you know, that song, when that came out, I was like, man, that hits home for sure. And so when I hear, you know, stuff like that, that kind of grabbed me in two ways. That was pretty awesome. But no, you know, that's really cool when you have, you know, artists who you really enjoy write songs about your sport. That's like, man, that's really cool that they like what we do too, because I'm a big fan of you. So it's cool how all that goes full circle.
Absolutely. Do you guys listen to music in the car at all when you're ever warming up? No. Well, we had a Twitter question, and I'll pull it up right here, but they brought up that this is Jason, and he said he heard Dale Jr. discuss how he used to put a radio in his car when NASCAR let drivers test various tracks. Obviously, you're not really testing out tracks this year and stuff and last year. But he asked, what albums would you have in there while you were making laps if you were able to do that?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Or artists, I guess.
We're not allowed to do that. Just clarify that one up. Yeah. That's wouldn't happen, but I don't know, man. It'd be depends on what's track. You know, if it's like it's a really intense track like a Bristol or something, it'd be like some more rock and roll stuff. Or if it's kind of a more ride around race like a Talladega or something, it'd be, you know, some older country music, I think. So I think that's track differs from each track. So it just depends what mood I'm in, I guess.
Yeah, I had a funny question related to Hangovers, if you don't mind. My buddy had a hilarious story where I'm not going to name names here, but he was out partying in Chicago. This is years ago, so like this guy's not even in Major League Baseball anymore. But he was one of the better setup men in baseball at the time, and like to party a lot. So my buddy's at this late night bar, shithole bar, and he sees this baseball player off his ass drunk at 5 a.m. I mean, my buddy's a gambler. So he knows tomorrow's a 1:20 start Cubs game, and they're going against I think the Phillies. So he put a bunch of money on the Phillies, thinking this guy's hungover. If he comes in the game, he's gonna give it up. And he gave up I swear to God, the pitcher gave up a grand slam. The guy was on until 5 a.m. partying. And I always think about this because you hear stories about whether it's the flu game with Jordan or whatever, but like you hear hangover stories with athletes. If there's ever a sport, I would think, where you can't be hungover, it's NASCAR. Like that to me, like you're going that fast, that many times in a circle. That can't. You got to be sharp. You got to be completely sharp going in. Right?
I have a hard time driving to work hungover, like let alone around the track.
Yeah, that would not be fun. I've had a couple late nights before maybe a test session or something, and was not fun. Not fun for multiple reasons. I mean, you're going so fast, you got to concentrate, but other reason, it's hot in there, man. It's so hot, and you can't handle that if you're really hungover. So no, there's that going on. I've never raced hungover before in my life, just maybe a couple test sessions, but yeah, that's something you can't really do. That's not going to perform very well.
That ain't gonna work.
Another thing we were kind of thinking about is just kind of being in the car hot and stuff. Like, what happens when you have to piss in the car? It has to happen, right?
That's a great question. I get it almost once a day. And
well, we asked Jamison Rogers on the podcast about this. Shania Twain admitted to peeing on stage. Clint Black said it happens to everybody on stage. Kelly Clarkson said she shit herself, right?
Yeah, she had to run back.
Almost shit herself
in a garbage can around the stage, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
You can't get out of the car and be like, hey, time out, I'm gonna go.
Everyone stop. Like,
oh, I'm the gluten sensitive over here. I'm a little.
Oh, so that's different, right? Yeah, other sports you can call it timeout or you get taken out of the game or something and go handle your business. We can't. You ain't stopping. So there are a few people I know that have pissed themselves during the race. I mean, you got to go. As far as going number 2, there's maybe 1 or 2 guys. I don't want to name them, but it was a while ago. Yeah, I won't name them, but yeah, there's some guys that pissed themselves. Just, I mean, man, you got to try to hold it for 4 hours. That's tough, and if you got to do it, you got to do it. But I personally have never done it, and I don't plan on doing it. I take care of that before the race because mainly I'd feel really bad for my interior guy who deals with my suits and seat and stuff. And I don't want to sit and piss for 3 hours. So those are 2 reasons why I don't do it.
It's funny.
I mean, I imagine like you're already kind of hot and sweaty in there. And like, I don't know what the fire suit's like, but it probably keeps you pretty toasty in there. Like if you got to go, you got to go, right?
Usually sweat out most of it, right? Usually you're crazy, but there's sometimes where it's a cold race and you're not sweating and you hydrate up like crazy and it catches up to you. So you got to be for sure.
I feel like artists have like a pre-race or a pre-show routine where they like, take some shots, listen to some music. Do drivers like yourself, like what's your kind of pre-race routine? Do you like get pumped up? I know Bubba's always got the music going. Yeah. He's one of your buddies.
Yeah. I don't really have like a routine. I think the biggest routine for me is just, we're not too busy on race day. Like we have 1 or 2 appearances, but that's about it. But then after those, usually have like an hour and a half to yourself and your bus to kind of just hang out. Always eat something good, have a good lunch or a good dinner or something before you race. That's a big part of it. Something that won't upset your stomach going back to the couple quick ago, so
no Taco Bell.
Yeah. No, so other than that, I don't really have a routine. Just kind of relax, man. I'll listen to music sometimes, just mellow out and just kind of concentrate. But no, I'm not jumping around like an headbanging or right. I just kind of get ready.
That almost seems like you hear that about baseball a lot. And there's like this misconception in other sports where like there's been like mathematicians that have proven like momentum is like bullshit, and not always, but depending on the sport, like when it actually is a thing and not. But like And baseball, like you getting yourself all fucking fired up is not going to help you. Like you're going to get it. You need to be calm, right? I feel like driving is a similar thing, right? You don't necessarily want to go like crazy and then get in a car and start driving like crazy. You want to be like focused and like.
I agree. You know, that's a great point of, you know, staying kind of calm keeps your head in the moment. You know, if you're getting all fired up and excited, and it's good to be excited, you know, but if you can reel that back in like right away,
Yeah,
you know, back on the task at hand. If you're going nuts, you know, you're kind of losing focus on what's important. So that's a great thing. I feel like drivers do the same thing, and just trying to stay calm, cool, and collected throughout the whole deal and not get too fired up. And you can get fired up, but if you can forget about that right away, if something bad happens, let's say, and just bam, you can focus right back to what you need to be doing. I think that's the best guys do that. And I see it around other sports, you know, kind of the calm guys, really methodical guys are the best ones.
Do you think, and there's always this thing in hockey, right? Of like, you have this segment of people that don't like the fighting and then a bunch of people that love it. They say, you know, that's a part of the sport. They love it. Other people like don't want it anymore. I got to imagine like with the fact that you're going that fast for that long and it's that dangerous, that carries over with that like adrenaline. You see so many of the like post race scuffles and all these things. Like, I mean, we've shared so many of those, Wes, like, and that's got to be like an adrenaline thing just based on what you guys are doing.
What's
like
at
carryover
stake?
effect. What's at stake, right? And the danger of things, right?
A little bit. I think it's just all situational, you know, like if you get, you know, really like our adrenaline isn't that high racing, you know, it's we do it so much, you know, it's just part of it. It goes back to kind of being that calm and cool deal,
Right.
like but there are certain situations that, you know, ramp up the heart rate and get your adrenaline pumping. And let's say, you know, I get wrecked for the win or something last lap. Yeah, I'm gonna be pissed. And then your adrenaline spikes up because you don't have to focus on racing anymore. You're focused on probably kicking that guy's ass, right? So it's all kind of situational. But yeah, you've seen, you know, stuff, highlights of guys getting scuffles and things like that, and it's just the heat of the moment because, you know, everyone's passionate. You'll have that. And that's, you know, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens sometimes when the situation calls for it.
Sure.
Do you guys ever fight amongst the team? Because that's like another misconception. It's like people think, oh, NASCAR's a one guy in a car, but it's like, you know, you have the chief and your pit guys and the spotter, and like everything is a lot of moving parts. And then obviously you had the Martinsville issue a couple weeks ago where that's kind of on one guy in a sense, but you know, you're a team. So it's like you own your wins and losses together. But is there ever like words among the team where it's like, what the hell, man? Or like, oh, I don't agree with this strategy or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's, you know, I got probably about 15 guys on my team that work for my car only, that are at the track each week. And from the over the wall guys to mechanics to crew chiefs to spotters, you know, we're all in it together, you know, and we win and lose as a team. You know, we all make mistakes. We're all human. You know, I can go make a mistake and hit the fence or wreck. They can make a mistake on pit road, or, you know, my crew chief can make a bad strategy call. It's just, it happens. It's racing. And yeah, there's disagreements sometimes, you know, between driver and crew chief, like, I don't know if that's the best call to do that. But you never really get in a shouting match. You just kind of give your opinions and things like that. So, you know, the deal that happened in Martinsville, it's just racing. You know, I didn't get upset at the guy for what happened. Everyone makes mistakes. You learn from it as a team, learn what we can do to prevent it and move on, because being pissed about it for a week isn't going to help it. As long as you fix the situation and fix what happened and don't do it again, that's part of learning and growing. So
I imagine it's like a quarterback and he just starts calling audibles and the coach is calling plays and you're driving, you're like, fuck that. I'm going to, no, like, not that that happens, but
not really, you know, sometimes we're in control of making calls, right? So like at the end of the day, crew chief pretty much makes calls. Like crew chief, for those who don't know, that's like the coach, right? So he's making all the calls on adjusting the car, coming to pit, tires, fuel, all that stuff. And there's occasions to where he'll tell us as drivers, he's like, hey, it's your option to stay out or pit right here under caution. If you think you can get the lead with not pitting the no tires, stay out. If you see everyone come. So there's sometimes he doesn't make a call. He kind of leaves it up to you. Well, there's really no times where he's like, do this. And I'm like, F you, no, I'm going to do this. Like that doesn't really happen. So
I had a question about Wikipedia is wrong sometimes. I get that. So this may not be accurate, but there was a tidbit about you in Wikipedia in one little section. I haven't seen this full movie, so I don't know if it's true or not, but did you make an appearance in Logan Lucky, the movie?
I did. Yeah.
How the hell did that happen? And for people that don't know, right, that had Daniel Craig was in that, right?
Yep.
Daniel Craig
And
good looking guy that's pretty
Channing
jacked.
Tatum.
Channing Tatum, yeah.
So how the hell did that come about?
That's a great question. I don't know. Somehow, some way. I think a few NASCAR guys are in it. I think me, like Kozlowski. I think Kyle Busch was in it. I think Carl Edwards was in it when he was racing. I'm like a cake delivery boy. I deliver a cake. I have like 2 lines, and then out of the movie. But it was kind of a very random thing. But I think the studio came to NASCAR, was like, hey, we want a handful of drivers since it's kind of a racing movie, or they're pulling a heist or something on something. I can't really remember the movie, but they came to us wanting some drivers. So I have some small cameos in it, but the movie's pretty funny. I remember watching it. I was like, this is a funny movie, but I did not get to meet Daniel Craig or anybody. So that was unfortunate, but maybe next time.
Wes, you want to read before we let him go? Cause he said 20 minutes. We're a little over. Was it the Instagram comment you think was a good one?
Yeah, we got a guy named Mario Lemieux, not to be confused with the Pittsburgh Penguins legend. He said, when you win it this year, 3 country artists that are invited to the party, and where is that party going to be?
3 country artists I invite to my party. Probably guys I haven't partied with yet. Like I've had drinks with like Colter and Tyler. Like they'd be a lot of fun, but I think Alan Jackson would be badass to have.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a hell of an.
Yeah.
Like AJ would be good. I haven't even met Sturgill Simpson yet, so I think he'd be a blast. And then like Reba would be fun.
She'll bring the corn dogs. She's a big corn dog.
There's someone random, like everyone's like, what the hell is Reba doing here? Like that's great.
We always,
at my house in Huntersville, Carolina, obviously.
That's a hell of a lineup. We always joke about like we want to sit on a porch and just sip tequila and bourbon with McConaughey and George Strait and just talk about shit. Like,
yeah,
that's our dream podcast scenario. I think we could solve the world's problems there, maybe. Right. But dude, Ryan, that was awesome. Like, really fun to talk to somebody that outside of the country space who's such a fan of country, and what you're doing is awesome. And we really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Nice talking to you.
Yeah. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah. Good luck, man. Stay safe.
Thanks.
Cheers, man.